There was a time when Chris Brown was the fresh-faced teen idol everyone wanted to root for. That smooth voice, those slick dance moves, and the kind of boy next door charm that made even your strict aunt humming run it without shame. Back in 2005, when he dropped that debut single, the comparisons started flying faster than his dance routines. Michael Jackson 2.0, the new king of R&B, the next big thing America didn't just want, but needed. But oh boy, how the mighty fall. Fast forward a few years, and suddenly Chris Brown went from being the darling of the charts to the headline terror that tabloids couldn't get enough of. From MTV to TMZ, the narrative shifted faster than his breakdancing spins, and not in a good way. Remember those days when the whispers turned into screaming headlines? When the cameras weren't capturing his slick moves, but his courtroom steps? When the boy next door image cracked and a darker, more complicated story began to take shape in the public eye? It wasn't just bad press. It was the kind of scandal that stuck like gum on your shoe, no matter how many apologies or new tracks he dropped. Do you remember Chris Brown before the scandal? That's a question that echoes in every music forum, every Twitter thread, every YouTube comment section where fans and haters alike try to make sense of it all. Some say he was just a kid, while others remind you, but fame didn't come with a free pass. It's a debate that's as heated as any. Grammy night. But unlike those shiny award shows, this one never really had a winner. And yet, despite everything, there's something about those early hits. Run It. Yo, excuse me, miss, wall to wall, that still makes you tap your foot. You find yourself humming along in the car, even if part of you wishes you didn't. It's like a guilty pleasure you just can't quit. So here's a shout out to those of you who still remember that Chris Brown before the chaos. Hit that like button if you ever vibed to those beats without knowing the storm that was brewing. And stick around because this story is only getting messier from here. All right, let's get real. If there's one moment that turned Chris Brown's whole world upside down, it was that night in 2009. Yeah, that night. The one every headline screamed about, every late-night talk show dissected, and every fan base wished they could forget? But nope, the world never did. Before this incident, Chris was cruising the fast lane of fame. But then came that shocking news, the assault on Rihanna. It wasn't just a scandal, it was a cultural earthquake. Suddenly, the boy who danced and sang his way into hearts was a symbol of something far more disturbing. And no amount of chart-topping hits could erase that. The fallout? Oh, it was brutal. Awards were rescinded, endorsements vanished, and the industry collectively tried to figure out what to do with a superstar who had become a pariah overnight. But here's the kicker. Despite the backlash, the sales didn't completely dry up. People were torn between condemnation and fascination, a paradox that's hard to understand but impossible to ignore. Do you remember where you were when the news broke? Drop a 2009 in the comments if that moment left a mark on you. Whether you were a fan or just an observer of the chaos, Chris Brown's fall was more than just a personal tragedy. It sparked conversations about domestic violence, celebrity accountability, and the dark side of fame. It was a moment that echoed far beyond the music industry, challenging fans and critics alike to rethink what they supported. And yet, as the years rolled on, the question lingered, can someone ever fully recover from a fall like that? Can the music really outshine the headlines? Or is this incident the defining shadow Chris Brown will forever carry? This moment changed everything, not just for Chris, but for the culture around him. It's the kind of story that sticks, echoes, and haunts no matter how many albums drop or concerts sell out. So yeah, that night in 2009, it's the fall that echoed forever. Here's the thing that baffles a lot of people. Chris Brown has been canceled more times than you've changed your playlist, and yet somehow the man still fills arenas. How does that even work? The culture of cancellation is supposed to be a kind of social justice filter. You mess up, you get dropped, forgotten, or shamed into oblivion. But Chris, he's like a boomerang. No matter how hard you throw him out, he keeps coming back. It's confusing, it's messy, and it's downright fascinating. You scroll through social media and see the backlash, the hashtags, the calls to boycott. But then tickets sell out, new singles climb the charts, and he's performing in front of thousands of screaming fans. It begs the question, does cancel culture really work? Or is it just a temporary trend that fades when the next scandal hits? Some say it's about separating art from the artist. Others argue it's about forgiveness, redemption, or maybe just the power of a catchy beat. Whatever the reason, Chris Brown's career trajectory is a living case study of this weird modern paradox. So let's put it to a vote right here. Is Chris Brown really canceled, or is he just canceled in theory? Drop your thoughts below and join the debate, because this is one topic that never gets old. Imagine this: the music industry is supposed to be your biggest ally. They make you, break you, promote you, but sometimes they also stab you in the back. Chris Brown knows this drama all too well. After the fallout, many in the industry claimed to distance themselves from him. Radio stations cut his songs, award shows snubbed him, and labels got cold feet. Yet, at the same time, they kept cashing in on his talent. It's like a toxic relationship where everyone benefits, but nobody wants to admit it. There's a clear love-hate dance here. On one hand, industry executives publicly condemn him to keep up appearances. On the other, they quietly rely on his music's undeniable popularity to boost profits. Hypocrisy? Definitely. Business as usual? Absolutely. So when Chris Brown faces this cold shoulder, is it really rejection? Or just a strategic move to protect corporate images while still riding the wave of his hits? Let's be honest, the music biz isn't known for being fair or consistent. Chris Brown's story shows us the gritty side of fame, where loyalty is transactional and reputation is fragile. What's your take? Is the industry justified in keeping its distance, or are they just playing a double game? Drop your thoughts below. This is one mess you don't want to miss. Here's where things get really complicated. Chris Brown's public image is tangled in stories of violence, but also in battles over who gets to tell the story. Is he a violent offender, or is he the victim of media sensationalism? The documentaries, interviews, and news reports paint a picture that's hard to ignore: allegations, arrests, controversies. But dig a little deeper, and you find layers of context, conflicting accounts, and a media hungry for clicks and drama. You've got fans who say he's been unfairly demonized, pointing out moments of growth and apology. Critics, on the other hand, say the truth doesn't need defending. And somewhere in the middle, there's a messy human reality that no one wants to simplify. So here's a question to chew on. Do you believe everything you see on TV and read in the headlines? Or is there always more beneath the surface? This topic isn't just about Chris Brown. It's about how narratives are built and destroyed in the court of public opinion. And trust me, that court is never impartial. Hit the comments with #history or hysteria and tell us what you think. Is this a real history of violence, or just hysteria fueled by fame and controversy? If you thought Chris Brown just takes punches, think again. He's throwing some back, and in a big way. Enter the billion-dollar lawsuit he filed against Warner Music Group and Discovery. Yeah, you heard that right. $1 billion with a B. This isn't your everyday artist label spat. Chris claims serious wrongdoing, from unfair contracts to mismanagement of his work and royalties. It's a David versus Goliath saga with billions at stake and reputations on the line. What makes it even juicier? The lawsuit highlights the shadowy side of the music business, where artists can get squeezed dry while the corporate giants rake in profits. Chris isn't just fighting for money. He's fighting for respect and justice in an industry that often treats stars like disposable products. And here's the kicker: what if Chris actually has a point? What if all those years of struggle weren't just personal messes, but signs of a bigger system rigged against artists? This legal battle is one of the most high-profile of the decade and could reshape how the music industry operates. It's not just about Chris Brown anymore. It's about artists' rights everywhere. So, what do you think? Is Chris Brown the rebel fighting for justice, or just another star trying to squeeze more cash? Let me know down below. This one's gonna get heated. Just when you thought the headlines had quieted down, Chris Brown pops back into the news in 2025, no less with another arrest in London. Yep, the pattern seems disturbingly familiar. And the question on everyone's mind is this just a bad flashback or a sign of something deeper? This latest arrest, allegedly for assault, sent shockwaves through fans and critics alike. Was it a momentary lapse or evidence that the past is still very much alive? For some, it's proof that Chris can't escape his demons, no matter how many hit albums he drops or apologies he makes. For others, it's a media-feeding frenzy, twisting every detail for clicks and controversy. But either way, the narrative doesn't help anyone except maybe the tabloid. Did you see this coming? Drop 2025 in the comments if this arrest surprised you, or if you're thinking, here we go again. It's hard to watch a story repeat itself with such painful echoes, and it raises bigger questions about accountability, support, and whether true change is possible when the world's eyes never stop judging. This latest chapter might be just another headline, or it could be a crucial moment in a long, complicated story. Here's the eternal struggle that every Chris Brown fan, or really any fan of a controversial star, faces. Can you separate the music from the man behind it? Because let's be honest, his beats still hit hard in those vocals. Pure fire. But what about the headlines, the legal issues, the past? It's like you're caught between two worlds. On one side, there's the artist who gave you those tracks that made your heart race and your feet move. On the other, the man whose actions have sparked outrage, disappointment, and serious debate. Do you still listen to Chris Brown in 2025? Is it possible to enjoy his art without endorsing his behavior? Or is that line blurred beyond recognition? Drop a comment with hashtag still listening if you keep his music on your playlist, or hashtag no more Sibi if you think it's time to turn the page for good. This isn't just about fandom, it's about ethics, emotions, and what we choose to support in a world where everything is public and no one's perfect. If there's one thing Chris Brown knows how to do, besides sing and dance, it's master the art of public reinvention. But here's the million-dollar question. Are his apologies, emotional interviews, and sincere gestures genuine? Attempts at redemption ... or just a carefully scripted public relations play? Let's set the stage first. After the world-shattering headlines about the incident between Chris Brown and Rihanna, Chris looked like a man on the edge, both career-wise and reputation-wise. The music industry and the public didn't know what to do with him, and it seemed like his career was doomed to an early grave, but he bounced back. And not just with music. He came back with exclusive interviews, heartfelt apologies, public pleas for forgiveness, philanthropic efforts, and even a rebranding as a changed man. It felt like a classic redemption arc, the kind of movie all troubled artists try to star in to win back fans and industry respect. But here's where things get tricky. How much of this redemption is real, and how much is marketing? Because let's be honest, the entertainment industry is an expert at turning scandals into commodities. It's a game of image, where the right narrative can catapult you from rock bottom straight back to the top of the charts. With Chris Brown, the signs are mixed. On one hand, you have moments that feel authentic, like when he openly talks about his mistakes, the impact of his actions, and his internal struggle to change. He even seems genuinely remorseful at times, showing a vulnerability that wins over even the toughest critics. On the other hand, there are the recurring incidents, public altercations, legal troubles, and behavior that cast serious doubt on this changed man image. The contradiction between the reformed Chris and the headlines makes the public split between those who believe in redemption and those who see just another PR stunt. Add to that the role of social media. Chris uses his platforms to connect with fans, share his thoughts, show his more human side, and of course promote his music and career. There's no denying this direct communication is a powerful tool to rebuild a once ruined image. But the question remains, how honest is this image reconstruction? And more importantly, how far is the public willing to forgive and accept it? Because society, especially today, is more vigilant than ever about personal responsibility and ethics. This dance between redemption and PR isn't just a Chris Brown thing, it's a reflection of the entertainment culture at large. How many artists have survived similar storms and managed to flip the narrative? And does sincerity even matter as much as public perception? Or is the narrative that convinces the public and media all that counts? For Chris Brown, this thin line is a constant battle. Every public move, every statement, every misstep or comeback is scrutinized, judged, and pieced together to build a narrative that can either save or destroy him. So where do you stand in all this? Do you believe Chris Brown is genuinely seeking redemption? Or is this just another spectacle of finely tuned public relations? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this topic doesn't have easy answers. It's a messy blend of truth, strategy, and of course the power fame has over people and their fans. Chris Brown stands as one of the last surviving bad boys in R&B, a genre once filled with rebels who broke rules, stirred controversy, and lived on the edge. But what does it really mean to carry that title today? Is it talent, pure stubbornness, or a little bit of both? Back in the day, artists like Usher, R. Kelly, and Genuine pushed boundaries, crafted iconic hits, and yes, often got themselves into hot water. But over time, most either reinvented themselves or quietly faded away. Chris, however, keeps holding the spotlight for better or worse. Being the last bad boy is a double-edged sword. On one side, it's about raw energy, charisma, and that rebellious edge that fans crave. It's about keeping the fire alive in a music scene that's increasingly polished and sanitized. Chris's style, his swagger, and his unpredictability make him magnetic to a certain crowd. But on the flip side, it comes with heavy baggage. Being a bad boy means your mistakes are magnified, your behavior constantly questioned, and your past never really forgotten. Every new song or public appearance is colored by everything that came before. For Chris Brown, this means a career constantly balanced on a knife's edge between adoration and condemnation. His music still sells, his tours pack venues, and his influence remains undeniable. But his reputation, like a storm cloud, shadows every success. So is Chris Brown's bad boy image a sign of real artistry or just stubborn refusal to grow up? Is it talent fueling a legendary career or a self-destructive cycle keeping him trapped? That's the question only you can answer. But one thing's for sure, in a world where the bad boy archetype is fading, Chris Brown remains the last stand whether you love it or hate it. Chris Brown's personal life has been a roller coaster that rivals any reality TV drama, and that's putting it mildly. From tumultuous romances to headline-grabbing legal battles, his offstage story has often overshadowed his music, making it nearly impossible to separate the man from the mess. Let's start with the romances. Chris's relationships read like a who's who of public attention: Karrueche Tran, Nia Guzman, Omeka Harris, and the drama that came with them. Breakups that played out in social media rants, custody battles, and public accusations have all made their way into headlines, turning private life into a very public spectacle. His relationship with Karrueche Tran was especially intense. After years of on-again, off-again drama, their breakup wasn't just about heartbreak. It became a media frenzy, with both sides airing grievances publicly, fans picking sides, and tabloids feeding off every detail. Then there's the legal side, which has been equally dramatic. Chris's run-ins with the law go beyond the infamous Rihanna incident. There have been multiple arrests, restraining orders, and lawsuits that paint a picture of a man struggling to keep control amid the chaos. Some legal battles have been settled quietly. Others dragged through the courts with endless headlines. The combination of love and legal turmoil adds layers to his public image as a troubled artist caught in a cycle of passion and conflict. This messy personal life makes it hard for fans and critics alike to figure out where Chris Brown really stands. Is he a victim of circumstance or the architect of his own drama? And how much do these personal battles affect his music and career? The real question is, how do you reconcile the artist you love with the complicated man behind the scenes? Can you enjoy the music while acknowledging the chaos? This saga of loves, scandals, and legal battles is far from over, and it continues to shape the legacy of one of R&B's most polarizing figures. Chris Brown's journey is not just about music and fame, it's also about what he represents to a new generation. To many, he's a talented artist who overcame his demons. To others, he's a cautionary tale, a symbol of toxic behavior glamorized by celebrity culture. The question is, has Chris Brown become a negative role model? His actions, both past and present, spark heated debates about accountability, redemption, and influence. With millions of young fans watching, his impact goes far beyond the stage. Social media amplifies every move, turning moments into lessons. When a public figure with a troubled past continues to behave questionably, what message does that send? For some, it normalizes destructive behavior. For others, it's proof that people can change. But the line between influence and endorsement is blurry. Should artists be held responsible for how fans interpret their actions? Or is it up to the audience to choose what to accept? Chris Brown's story raises tough questions about fame, power, and the price of being in the spotlight. It forces us to ask, do we separate the art from the artist? And what kind of legacy do we want to celebrate? This topic isn't just about one man, it's about the culture that elevates and scrutinizes celebrities, and the complicated ways we deal with their mistakes. Behind every superstar lies a web of influences that shape their sound, style, and career. Chris Brown is no exception. But Interestingly, many of the artists who've drawn inspiration from him don't openly admit it. Why? Drake, Usher, The Weeknd, these names are household staples in modern R&B and hip-hop, each with their unique flair. Yet, if you listen closely, you'll catch subtle nods to Chris Brown's moves, melodies, and even attitude woven into their work. It's almost like Chris exists in this paradoxical space, influential yet somewhat underappreciated or unacknowledged publicly. Some say it's because of his controversial past, which makes others hesitant to associate too closely. But influence isn't just about public statements. It's in the beats, the dance routines, the vocal stylings. When you dig deeper, you see Chris Brown's fingerprint all over the R&B landscape of the past decade. So why the silence? Is it discomfort with his personal controversies or a strategic distance to avoid backlash? Either way, the impact is undeniable. This topic shines a light on the complicated legacy of influence, how it can be both a compliment and a burden, especially when controversy shadows the artist. Despite everything, the scandals, the legal battles, the public scrutiny, Chris Brown's career keeps pushing forward. He still fills arenas, drops new music, and maintains a loyal fan base that refuses to let him fade into obscurity. But the question is, how much longer can this last? The entertainment world is ruthless and fast-moving. Audiences have short memories but also high standards. New artists rise, new sounds emerge, and the pressure to stay relevant is relentless. Chris Brown's resilience is impressive, but it comes at a cost. There's an undeniable tension between past and present, between his history and his current work. For many, the shadow of his controversies lingers, casting doubt on his longevity. For others, his talent alone is reason enough to keep supporting him. But even the most devoted fans can't ignore the elephant in the room. The public's tolerance has limits. How many more hits, tours, or comeback attempts can outweigh a decade's worth of baggage? The industry may still want to profit from his star power, but at some point the cost of association might outweigh the benefits. The show will go on, but the question remains, is Chris Brown in his prime encore or the final act? This topic digs deep into the fragility of fame, the cost of controversy, and the uncertain future of a man who refuses to quit the stage. After everything, the highs, the lows, the music, the scandals, we reach the ultimate question: how do you really see Chris Brown? Is he a misunderstood genius, a talented artist who made terrible mistakes but deserves a second chance? Or is he a villain, someone whose actions have left deep scars that can't be ignored? This isn't a question with an easy or neat answer. Chris Brown embodies contradictions: immense talent and destructive behavior, charisma and controversy, redemption attempts, and repeated setbacks. He forces us to confront uncomfortable realities about fame, accountability, and forgiveness. The truth is probably somewhere in between. He's both a product of his environment and a man who made choices with consequences. He's a symbol of the complexities of celebrity culture. In the modern age, where image and reality collide and blur, so what's your verdict? Is Chris Brown a victim, a villain, or both? Is his legacy one of artistry or caution? The power to decide rests with every fan, critic, and observer. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have the conversation. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about Chris Brown. It's about how we understand human flaws and genius in a world obsessed with fame.